Hi everybody, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us as we continue to track the final days of winter, at least on the meteorological calendar. And I got one word to sum it all up: messy. Let me explain. Big low forming out here in the Tasman Sea. It is just clearing away from Aussie, and it's in that perfect sort of breeding ground, if you like, smack bang in the middle of the Tasman Sea. And that's usually where it starts to get a little bit more energy, pulling down subtropical air on that side. And waiting in the wings, we've got a little cold change coming through. It's not going to get very far north, but it's going to mix in to this system. But as you can see across Tuesday, a much calmer day weather-wise, certainly much drier as well after very heavy rain fell overnight around parts of Bay of Plenty and some other areas. So this is how we look for Wednesday. You can see that low, not very deep, 10, 11 hectopascals. It is drifting in towards the North Island with maybe some isolated downpours. That doesn't mean everyone has rain. It means there are a couple of downpours. Meanwhile, another system here coming through. This is a colder one trying to push in, but there's actually a bit of high pressure in this zone, so it's not going to race up the country. It's going to get to the lower part of the South Island and then stop. And then on Thursday, the low that's just west of Auckland and the North Island expands. And this is why it's a messy forecast. It's pretty hard to kind of lock in exactly what's going on around the country with such a large area of low pressure that is not very deep. So this isn't a storm, it's not even close to a storm, it's barely even low pressure, but it's enough low pressure to basically form a giant pothole in the sky. So you've got all this high pressure belt down here and off our screen, and then it dips down around New Zealand, and that's where we get these showers. So there's an area of rain pushing through. This is generally an easterly wind flow. So you've got rain coming through for these eastern areas, but it may only be showers and drizzle patches for some other areas. And in the north, same story, just a few showers around. The wettest area looks to be at this stage around Cook Strait. And then on Friday, as you can see, we're going towards the weekend with this low that's deepening still. So it deepens a bit further as we head in through Friday. It's sort of also pulling in together. A great analogy, I heard this at the weekend on CNN, and I use it quite a bit during storms. I just said this wasn't a storm, but it's the same analogy. If you think about an ice skater spinning around and they pull their arms in and they spin faster. So this low is basically pulling in the isobars and it's spinning a bit faster and it's getting a little bit deeper. It's not turning into a storm, it's just turning into a more normal looking low pressure system, but there's still one point that's going to stop it from deepening much further. And it's very hard to see. There's a very thin area of high pressure just off the screen. Just south of those showers there, that's high pressure. So that is also going to cradle it and keep it stuck in this area. So as we get in towards the weekend, Saturday, no real movement. That low just sits there, 1002 hectopascals. Stormy stuff's down around the 990s, 980s, 970s, or as we saw with that storm in Christchurch a month ago, 960s. So this is not a very deep system, it's an annoying one, and it's going to bring in patchy weather, where the forecast might say rain one day and the next day it says showers, and then on the day itself, mostly sunny with an afternoon downpour. That could be what we're facing in many areas, unless you're in Southland and the West Coast, where it looks pretty good. And then as we head in towards Sunday, here's the setup, that big area of low pressure finally drifting across us, and it's still the same messy mix of weather, where it's perhaps a little milder in the north, although a bit of a southerly arrives perhaps on Sunday, and the lower half of the South Island throughout much of this is not really seeing a lot of weather. So it is a messy forecast, and as you can see for next week, this is Sunday, so next week's weather is waiting out there in the wings. Spring is certainly starting to wake up. That is all from me. We'll update you again tomorrow with the messy forecast. Until then, please check out weatherwatch.co.nz or download our free app.